James, I've got to be honest. Putting this show together, how difficult is it actually to rewrite matches? Because there's so many you could rewrite.
Oh, mate, honestly, I've spent the last 3 years rebooking about 100 matches, and it takes me about 4.5 to about 6 hours to do.
4.5 hours. Hey, how long did it take you to rewrite one?
7 hours, 15 minutes, and 25 seconds.
Where's the 25 seconds come from?
I don't know.
That's when I was busy doing something else they shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, with a pen.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Guys, we're obviously rewriting. We're rewriting history, guys. We're rewriting Wrestlemania matches. We've got 5 matches. We usually pick 10, but because Andy Ramp chat shit for so long, we have to narrow it down to 5. He's not saying fuck on, are you? What?
Blame me.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that you like to ramble on.
I do like to ramble.
Yes, he does. Because he's from Scotland. That's all I'm going to say. And on that bombshell, I'm just going to roll the intro. And we welcome you to your Saturday night edition of the Magic of Wrestling podcast. I'm, of course, the host, Liam Wakelin. Mr. Rise is obviously away on family business again. That guy's a really, really busy man. I can't believe it, ain't he?
Yep. Busy Bumblebee. Remember that game? Remember that board game?
Busy, I do.
Busy Bumblebee.
Have you had something?
I've just had soda water.
Don't stay off it. You're fucking hyper today. What's the matter with you? Oh, do you hate it? It's absolutely a pleasure as always, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, yourself?
Not too bad, mate. Obviously, we recorded the LFG thing earlier on and stuff like that, and then we've been planning for this show. So, yeah, typical work week for you?
Yep, pretty much. It's April's the sort of end of the financial year for us as well, so it's like year end. So, lots going on. So, yeah, lots of fun.
Of course. And James, I've got to be honest, mate, I appreciate obviously stepping in for the last minute because I think you only had like 2 hours like prep.
Yeah, well, luckily, I was just saying before we came on, these rewrites, I actually did these about 3.5, 4 years ago. I was planning to do them for my new channel that I started up yesterday that I did my first video for. And so the fact that you actually messaged me asking me to come on, I was like, oh, like, this is like, when like you ask your dad for an old bit of wood that he's kept for like the past 4 years. It's like, I can finally use it for something. And everyone's infected it. I was like that. I got really giddy. I'm like, I can finally use it.
And then you realise, but was it he's going to end up spending what was it the next 2 days? What was it, loving you, because he goes to your mother. Get it up, yeah! I knew that bit of wood would come in handy.
It's one of those. I'm going to ask you.
Never learn, do we?
I'm going to ask you, mate. Obviously, like you said, you set up your YouTube channel. You uploaded your first video. You said before you came on the air, you were very, very nervous.
I was shaking like a shitting dog. Absolutely, because I was just like, I don't know how this is going to go down. I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of hate. I don't know if it's going to go well. I'll probably mess up, and I did on a number of occasions. I kept stuttering over my words. My mind just kept going blank, and I would just like, as soon as I hit that end stream, I would just like, thank God for that. I mean, I spent like an hour and a half messaging you saying, StreamYard's not working. What do I do? I have to restart my laptop about 14 times. Stupid stuff didn't work. I was like, oh, sod it, I'll just use YouTube.
Yeah, that's technology for you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when I obviously set it up, it literally took a while, to set up as well.
Yeah, it's one of them things with technology. It's brilliant if it works. If it don't work, you're screwed.
Yes.
Come on, Henry. You use technology a lot as well. You say it's shit sometimes.
Yeah, I hate technology now. I basically do everything with technology now. So, yeah, technology's amazing. Some of the stuff you can do with it is just insane. But it can be a worst enemy, and it's got a tendency not to work. What was it? I always say with what with presentations that you need to pray to the presentation gods before it, because if you don't, everything and anything will go wrong with that presentation. You know, every time. So always pray to the presentation gods or the demo gods. Yeah, not you, Chris Jericho, you prick. Sorry.
I don't even
I
know
was
what to
going to get
say.
that in there.
What?
I don't even know what to say to you there, Ian. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to ramble again.
I was just merely saying when you do a demonstration of something, you should pray to the demo gods to make sure what was it that you think what was it that you pray to them for, like a good demonstration. But then I was also pointing out that Chris Jericho is a prick and he's not a demo god, like he said he is.
Well, okay. I mean, let's also talk about AEW and stuff like that. Now, did you see what they posted with the Young Bucks YouTube video?
Yeah, that was. I wrote a song about it. Can we play it?
I don't think I've got it. I can't remember if I downloaded it or not, but go ahead.
I don't think we can play it, to be honest, people.
Dear, but that's schoolboy era stuff. Do you know when you see stuff like that?
It's just so amateurish, you know. What was it? I mean, they continue to do stuff like that, you know, all the time, you know. What was it called? James hasn't what was it? Seen me fully rant about the Young Bucks, so the less we say about them, the better, because I got into like full rage with them, you know. What was it? I just can't stand that tag team. I'm sure Nick and Matt are nice people, but what they've done to wrestling is appalling.
Yeah. James, do you actually have any idea what we're on about?
No. All the thing I've seen about AEW is about Taz's young lad Hook throwing up in ring. For me, it's just getting a bit ridiculous, really. Like there's being edgy, there's being controversial, then there's just being outright stupid and trying to kill your talent. Because I feel as though that's what's going to happen. Next thing that AEW is going to brag about is having somebody die in ring. Like we've had that with Owen Hart, mate. Like we don't want to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, and I actually saw that, and that was absolutely brutal. Henry, what do you think?
Yeah, they should have. The fact that he pulled him up, you know, you should sort of see that something wasn't right. You know, whether some people will say, well, maybe it wasn't a concussion, maybe he was just ill. You know, right. Even in that situation, you should you're there to protect the guy you're with. They're your team members. You know, it's so important to protect. Just dumbfounded. It's just stupidness beyond belief. You know. I don't get why they keep on making these similar mistakes. It's going to happen. Something tragic is going to happen in that ring, and it's coming, unfortunately. And I know I mean, it's entirely possible that something like that can happen in the WWE or in New Japan, but was it like EW just seems to be continually getting close to like doing that all the time, all the time. There's a bit of controversy nearly every other show, you know. And is it worth it? No, it's not. At the end of the day.
No, exactly. James, over to you.
Yeah, just saying what Ernie says. Really, I mean, it's all right trying to be different from WWE. It's all right trying to appeal to the fan demographic that you go to. I know that AEW tries to focus towards like the older like us, our age sort of guys, because it's it just makes them a bit different from WWE. But I would much rather watch WWE back when they were in the PG era, when they were all happy, smiley. I mean, the state NXT 2.0 made me want to vomit violently when they made it look like a psychedelic dream. I was like, my God, just put them back to black and gold for God's sake. Stop making them look like I've just been bummed by a Smurf and it's just gone all over. Yeah. And I'm just like, so yeah, it's just it's not a really nice product to watch, if I'm honest, AEW. I mean, I've got note against the talents, but the fact that they've had John Moxley nearly paralysed with the spikes to his back, Hook's thrown up because of concussion. They had the barbed wire death match back in the pandemic era when it was basically just a really crap light show.
They had
It's
they had it was Darby Allin falling from like an enormous ladder into glass in front of Martha Hart. They also had Darby Allin dangling from a rope, but was in the middle of the ring, but was it getting lynched up in front of Martha Hart? You know,
yeah.
what was it called? What is going through these guys' minds? You know, and Tony says, well, Martha says it was okay. You know, but what's she going to say? What was it called? It's just stupidness, you know. It's just silliness beyond belief.
Yeah, I think I agree. Anything to add on that, James?
Well, just like Andy says, it's a bit ridiculous getting Darby Allin to do all these like stupid stunts that he doesn't necessarily need to do. I mean, it's good because it, in a way, because it kind of shows his character, because he's one of those that he's a bit like Jeff Hardy, where he's one of the risk takers. But end of the day, if he's doing stuff like that, one of them's either going to paralyze him for life, it's going to seriously injure him, or it's going to kill him. And then what do you do then? He'll go, oh, where at AEW? We kill wrestlers. Yay, this is where the best wrestlers go. No, it's where people go to die.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say that. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of on point and stuff like that. So let's shift, obviously, focus to WWE and stuff like that. Now, SmackDown was obviously last night, and James, I'll start with you. The Spinner Belt made a nice little appearance.
I haven't watched the full SmackDown just yet. I fell asleep really early last night, and then I went for my tattoo finishing this morning, so I've not been able to watch it all. I literally was watching SmackDown whilst I was having my tattoo done, and then in 10 minutes you're like, right, we're done. I'm like, oh, sound. But yeah, it's quite. I've seen glimpses of it, but it was quite nice for Cody to fetch out the old belts comparing to the new one, and I'm pretty sure that I heard a lot of people booing the spinner belt when he actually spun it round because they were like, oh God, please don't fetch the toy back for God's sake. So yeah, quite nice.
So I don't know if you know this, but one of the biggest selling merchandise items, what was it, on the current European, what was it, tour, and what was it, and I know this, but was it, I was in the Hydro Club, which is like like early entry stuff. There was at least 3 people sitting with it, and that was a John Cena commemorative spinning belt. And there was, just to give you the price of it, £750, right? So what was it? Absolutely hate the spinning belt, but what was it called? It's one of these cases where people boo it, but they're probably buying it, even if they can't afford it, you know, because it's a bit of cool memorabilia, you know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about the spinning belt. I just thought it was fucking stupid, you know. But yeah. But that's just to give you that perspective, like that it was selling out. What was it? The European pay-per-view. What was it? A European tour recently. So, yeah, put that into perspective. £750. So he's got £750 to just rattle away. You know, unbelievable.
That's just stupid, man. You know what I mean?
It's
Especially
insane.
the ref. It's absolutely crazy.
It was beautifully made, though. What was it? We were what was it? Sat next to a chap. What was it? Who had just bought one, and he was showing it off, and it was beautiful. It was heavy, and it was well made. What was it called? The back end of it, as well. You know, it was specific to the event. What was it as well? So it had like the salt tire and all that for the Scottish flag on it. It looked beautiful, but yeah, as a wrestling belt, it's just dumb.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, people's obviously mixed opinions for stuff like that. So let's obviously get straight into the main event because we've obviously got loads of stuff to cover. So here we go.
The main event.
I've still got to play that game because that game looks cool.
That is a cool game. What you should do is you should like remix it. But was it with an ending? It says the main event, and then 2 seconds later it brings up the Simpsons, goes game over, man.
Dear. So before we obviously get into our main event, we're going to take a little short session interval and stuff like that. This is promoting the up and down stuff from the UK, and as well as the Hot Tag Foundation. Boom. I still love that song, ain't it? Where's he gone? Is he still here?
You've muted him.
Hello.
I didn't mute him.
Did you mute me? How
I
dare
did
you?
not mute. Why would I mute you?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's obviously the Hot Tag Foundation and stuff like that. The promotions coming up and down the UK. All the information will in the description and stuff like that for all the promotions. The Hot Tag Foundation as well. Incredible foundation. They're promoting kindness in wrestling and stuff like that. And it kind of leads, obviously, what James, you as well, the kindness in wrestling.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So for those that don't know that are watching at the minute, I've created a new channel called Wrestle Wellbeing. If you want to go check it out, I'd really appreciate it. Just started out yesterday, where I cover my love of wrestling, but also mental health, because I feel as though mental health is a huge issue, not just in wrestling itself, but also in the real world, because there's a lot of people out there that feel alone, that feel as though they need to talk, but they don't know who to talk to. And there's a lot of avenues that they can go down, places they can reach, and facilities that they can use to be able to hopefully help with mental health, which hopefully we can all start getting better at.
Yeah, no, definitely. But was it it's a really important topic? You know, there's. I mean, I'm guessing. What was it? It's something that's done down south as well. But around about what was it? Where my parents stay. What was it? There is. What was it? There is. What was it? Well, there's a high sort of level of what was it, mental health and sort of Lanarkshire, South Lanarkshire, where I stay, and they've got these rainbow benches. I don't know if you know if you have the same thing, but basically it's what was it, the charity, but was it it's not necessarily tied to wrestling, but people that what was it that it's tied to a person who suffers from mental health and sadly is passed through choices that they've made, you know. And just to give you a perspective, there's three of them in the vicinity of where my parents stay, you know. So that tells you what was it, how much of an impact mental health is in the world, you know, and it's really sad, you know, to sort of see. But these benches allow people to just go and sit and spend some time, and they become a bit of they become a bit of a sort of how do you put it? What was it, a memorial bench for the person as well. It's not just specifically for the person, but what was it, the charity sponsors it for that specific person if they've been the family's put forward their name and things like that, you know. So what was it? I'm just using that as an example, because it's just frightening, you know. The fact that there's three of them in the one vicinity is just scary, you know, and it's such an important topic.
100%. And I kind of like what James said there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Obviously, a lot of people don't know how to talk about it. I mean,
yeah.
even wrestlers who we obviously know, like male and female, do you know what I mean? It's more common than what we realise. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean we've spoke about the mental health issue before. There's a lot and people that are sort of have fame, you know, and we've spoke about it. There's a lot of studies into it. That uh, there's so many of these people that die young. You've got guys like Chris Cornell, but was it and what they say is they go out and perform in front of 20,000 people, and then what was it? They go home and or they go to an empty what was it an empty sort of hotel room, and there's nobody there. You know, what was it? All they've got is their head, and then but was it? What was it? They speak about what your the natural chemicals in your head. You know, it's just important for people to have somebody to talk to. You know, just because you could be at the top of the world doesn't mean you're not suffering. You know, too many stories of that. What was it? What was it? In sort of any sort of sport. What was it? If you sort of look at it, it's frightening.
Absolutely. So what we'll do, James, is we'll put a link in your YouTube channel in the description, mate, so people can jump from this video to that
Yes.
one and go support your channel, man.
No, definitely. That was it. And good
Definitely.
luck with that. I know you've just launched it, and it's amazing that you're doing stuff like that.
I think
Cheers,
I also find it funny that the fuck has posted one video and has got 6 followers already.
Yeah. Yes. That's well. To be fair, that was it. That might be me, because I've got a split personality, so that might be two. So.
Fucking hell, one of you's enough. Oh dear. Right then, Haney, this is kind of your concept, mate, so I'm going to let you obviously introduce it.
Yeah, so the idea of this is obviously WrestleMania is next week. So the idea of this is to look back through all the matches that have happened in WrestleMania. What was it? And I think it just so happens that most of us have probably picked main event. What was it? Sort of. What was it? Matches, but rebook it into the scenario what we think should have happened or could have happened. You know, what would have been better to sort of change the sort of dynamic of things that was going on.
Absolutely. So I've got one, Alex has got two, Jim's got two, and stuff like that. And we're just going to have a decent chat about them. So, James, I'm going to let you kick us off, actually, and I'm going to let you kick us off with this match here. Bray and Undertaker, WrestleMania 30. Correct me which one it is. I was going to
31.
31. So I'm going to let you kick this one off. Take it away.
Yeah, so my thing with this is that I believe that Bray should have been the one to break the streak because it would have been would have elevated him to a new level. So I'm gonna just so basically because I've been waiting for this day for about 3 years, I've basically wrote a hell of a lot of stuff down. So bear with me, please. So
Okay.
WrestleMania 31, Levi Stadium at Santa Clara, California. The narrative: the unstoppable force versus the unsettling harbinger. The streak looms large. So this is if Undertaker's streak was still intact. This is I'm writing it because obviously, like I say, the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania is the most dominant and legendary record in wrestling history. Every year, the question of who will challenge it and potentially fall becomes a major storyline. Bray Wyatt's obsession. Bray Wyatt, with his family, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, has become fixated on The Undertaker. He doesn't just want to defeat him, he believes he needs to break the streak to usher in a new era of darkness and establish himself as the ultimate force in WWE. His promos are more intense, more personal, and carry a sense of twisted destiny. He claims The Undertaker's time is over and he's the one chosen to end the myth. So start with the Undertaker's aura of invincibility. The Undertaker, despite his age, still carries an aura of invincibility at WrestleMania. There's a sense that no one can truly conquer him on the grandest stage. He acknowledges Wyatt's challenge, but exudes an unwavering confidence. So from the time that Bray Wyatt announces that he wants to take on the Undertaker, we don't see Undertaker whatsoever. There's no sign of him. There's no gongs, there's no caskets, nothing. And every single week, Bray Wyatt is dismantling everybody. He beats everybody down. He puts people in a local medical facility, as WWE like to say. And he's just absolutely battering people. He takes on people like R-Truth, takes on people like Fandango. You've got Tyler Breeze, takes on people like Apollo Crews, and just destroys everybody. So then we get to the match, and for me, the match needs to be booked in a way that makes Wyatt's victory believable and impactful, even against a seemingly unsurmountable streak. So when we start the match, there's an atmosphere of dread. The entrance of the Undertaker should feel even more significant. The weight of the streak is absolutely palpable within the arena. Wyatt's entrance should be unsettling, almost defiant, as if he's embracing the impossible task of breaking the streak. So Taker comes out, you might have the caskets with all the Taker's personas in. Bray Wyatt comes out, holds up the lamp, and as he blows it out, the costumes vanish. They're not there anymore. And all you see is the lantern at the top of the stage. So at the start of the match, it is just absolutely relentless assault by Wyatt. Wyatt and his family need to be present as a formidable and cohesive unit. Wyatt's offense should be brutal and relentless, targeting the Undertaker's age and wear and tear. He should utilize unconventional tactics and show no fear whatsoever. So Wyatt is just beating him and beating him and beating him. It's almost as if Taker just can't get an edge in. He can't get a shot in. He can't get any signature or finishing moves or anything like that. Wyatt is just overpowering him. It's almost as if Taker's lost his power. He's lost his invincibility, and Wyatt has just taken everything from him. So with Harper and Rowan, have a crucial role as well. Harper and Rowan's interference needs to be strategic and impactful without being overly blatant to the point of disqualification, because if they do that, then obviously it's wasted. They could create distractions at key moments, allowing Bray to gain an advantage, perhaps a well-timed attack while the referee is momentarily distracted, getting a shot in every now and again. So Rowan can be distracting the referee on one side and Harper attacks Taker on the other side. So with this, Undertaker's resilience is tested. The Undertaker should show incredible resilience, absorbing Wyatt's offense and mounting his signature comeback where he runs the ropes and does the flying clothesline. Taker hits a choke slam. The near falls for the Undertaker should be believable, making the audience believe the streak will continue. Hits a choke slam, kicks out at one. Hits the old school, pins him, kicks out at one. Hits another choke slam, kicks out at one. Goes for the Hell's Gate, and Bray just does not give up and just rags Taker around. The turning point is the family's calculated attack. At a crucial moment when Taker seems poised to win, maybe going for a tombstone, knocks the referee down. Harper and Rowan execute a more coordinated and devastating attack. It could involve a double team maneuver outside the ring while the referee is occupied or knocked down, weakening the Undertaker significantly. When Taker is hit by this double move, it could be whatever you want it to be. Taker is really struggling to get up. He's having to crawl back into the ring. He's having to pull himself up. The referee is there. 7, 8, 9. As he gets to 9, Bray grabs the referee and says, "You will not take my moment away from me," and throws the referee to the side. The referee's just like, "Whoa, I need to back off here." So Taker finally gets into the ring, and Wyatt capitalizes with a vicious attack. Wyatt takes advantage of a weakened Undertaker, hitting multiple Sister Abigails with increased intensity and devastation. So he hits one, puts his arms out and kneels before him, gets up, picks him up again, does another, does the same thing, does another, and every single time he does it with more venom, more and more intensity. You're thinking, whoa, Bray is proper shooting for this. He's going mental. The final Sister Abigail needs to look absolutely devastating, leaving no doubt that Taker is defeated. And then the referee crawls over. 1, 2. There's a pause because the referee's like, "I really don't want to do this," and you can just hear the crowd go silent, and all you hear is 3. The bell rings. It's just utter shock, disbelief, and maybe perhaps like a stunned applause for Bray. So the aftermath will be the end of an era, the rise of a new darkness. Wyatt's triumphant but eerie celebration. He doesn't celebrate with jubilant fanfare. All he does is kneel, has his arms outstretched, kneeling before a fallen Undertaker. Undertaker has not moved. Rowan and Harper are stood at the bottom of the ramp, and even they are shocked. And they just look at each other like, what's just happened? Everyone's in total disbelief. The commentators don't say anything. Also, one thing, JBL's not at ringside and he's not commentating because he does my tits in. So Wyatt's victory is more of a chilling confirmation of his prophecy. He spoke about what he would do to Undertaker for the last 6 months, and he did it. Could stand over fallen Undertaker with a grim satisfaction on his face, perhaps even a hint of unsettling reverence. Then Harper and Rowan both get in the ring, stand beside him. Their loyalty is unwavering. With Undertaker's defeat, there's a moment of finality or uncertainty. The Undertaker remains down for an extended period, possibly when the Wyatt family leave, selling the finality of the loss. The camera should focus on his face, showing a rare vulnerability and perhaps a sense of disbelief. This could be his final WrestleMania match, which I would have. After this, Taker is done. We don't see Taker whatsoever. He doesn't have any more matches. Even in pandemic, doesn't come back and fight AJ Styles in a boneyard, whatever it was, match, and kills AJ Styles off a spooky tractor. So the impact that this has on WWE is the end of the streak would send absolute shockwaves through WWE. It would instantly elevate Bray to the main event scene as a credible and dangerous force, but you do not put the title on Bray. Bray doesn't want the title. Bray just wants to kill the WWE from the inside out. Basically, he just wants to be a cancer. He's got 10 soldiers. He's going to go after all of them. The narrative would shift from this with the question of who can stop this new streak-ending entity. So Bray would become the new Undertaker. I believe that this works because you have the ultimate shock value. Ending streak, even at Mania 31, would have been one of the most shocking moments in WWE. It gives Wyatt instant credibility. Defeating Taker at WrestleMania, especially with streak intact, would have cemented Wyatt as a top-tier villain and a legitimate main event player. It's a bold, creative decision. While controversial, would have been a bold move that would have been talked about for years to come because everyone would say, do you remember who ended the streak? Yeah, it was Bray Wyatt, and look what it did, because this could elevate him even bigger to what he was. Important considerations for me is the why. Booking needs to be established to establish a compelling reason why Bray is the one.
Can we actually talk about the why? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can we actually talk about the why?
Yeah, of course, mate. I'll skip over that then. But the last thing for me as well is protecting Undertaker, because the problem that we had with the Brock match is it dropped him on his head, concussion.
Yeah.
So he couldn't carry on. So even in defeat, Undertaker needs to be presented as the legend who was finally overcome by powerful and relentless force, not someone who easily beat him, because let's be fair, Brock easily beat him the way that he did. I believe that the rebooking focuses on making Wyatt's victory feel earned and impactful, capitalizes on the shock value of ending the undefeated streak while establishing Wyatt as a dominant force in WWE. So now Bray can just be the force at WrestleMania. It can be a force at SummerSlam. And then in sort of like a year or so, we don't see Bray for a year whatsoever. WrestleMania 32, on the build-up to that, maybe at Elimination Chamber, or if you want to do it at Royal Rumble, that might be even better. Lights go out, and you don't see Bray, you see The Fiend, and The Fiend comes out, and The Fiend, we're all like, who's this? Who's this? Then the next night on Raw, you get the Firefly Funhouse, and they're
okay,
like, oh.
right, okay, I think we've covered enough there. I mean, wow. Annie, I'm actually blown away with that. What do you think?
Yeah, it was the only thing I would say. I mean, what was it? Is meticulous and it lays out everything perfectly. The only thing I would say is I'm probably one of the wrong people to speak about this, because I'm one of the people that think that Brock Lesnar taking Undertaker's streak was the right decision. Just because I think from in terms of Undertaker's perspective, he needed that pivotal arch enemy. What was it? To end his that was part of his legacy. You know, he needed that vicious ending to it. What was it? Whereas, what was it? What you proposed is a more honourable way to break the streak. Do you get what I mean? In terms of what Bray was, and it was earned. It was like almost like a passing of the torch, rather than it taking it away from him. You know, I totally. I mean, I would have totally loved that if it happened. You know, and at the time, I wanted Bray to win. You know, so what was it? I'm totally on that. What was it? But for me, but was it? The way, and that's with some of the choices as well that I made with some of the matches, and took out the sort of Undertaker, especially knowing that some of you guys were going to do it as well, was what was it? I think the streak needed to end the way that it did, but I also get that. But what you're saying would have made a huge impact onto Bray's career, and it would have been well deserved. You know, at that point we didn't have the Fiend. You know, so that would have been a perfect way to introduce the Fiend. What was it going forward? What was it? What was it called? I don't know. What was it? Not having the Undertaker at that point. I think. What was it? What was it? It's something I might think Vince wouldn't have wanted to do. Considering like what was it? He brought him back multiple times at his worst, giving him a year off to recover, and it was totally destroying him. So that would have been a perfect way for him to go out. Definitely love the detail and love the the build up to it and the sort of meaning behind it. I think personally that the Brock Lesnar taking the streak was the best thing to do for the streak, because it pisses people off, and that's what wrestling's about. It's pissing people off.
Yeah, exactly. I do kind of like the build up and stuff. I think what you're getting at as well is this like a no DQ match, because you did mention about obviously Harper and stuff getting like stuck in.
Well, it'd be that the referee is distracted by either Bray or Rowan is distracting the referee while Harper's getting a shot in, sort of thing. So they're basically using the numbers game against Taker and the referee. I know it's a bit of a shitty way of doing it, but it just like it shows Bray's like tenacity and a bit of sneakiness to use his followers to get what Bray wants, sort of thing.
Yeah,
you could have also put it as like a no holds barred match as well.
Yeah, no, well, I wouldn't even have done it as a no hold barred. If I was sitting in a room and I was booking this, what was it? I wouldn't have even had Bray touching the referee. What was it called? I would have had the lights go out and then the light come back up again, and the referee's in the corner, just slumped, right? But was it? And nobody knowing what happened, because if you're pulling in that sort of like that superstitious power, what was it called? And what was it? The lights go out, it comes up, even slumped in a corner, and at that point, you're bringing in that superstitious side to it that Bray had. What was it? The reason I say that is I'm not a fan of if I ran a wrestling promotion, I would book referees legit. If the referee and I would tell them, I says, if you see something that doesn't look right and it's not in the line with the match, you need to figure a way around it to call it, because I just think not using referees right, in a sort of like proper way like they used to in the olden days. It takes me out of a sort of wrestling match, but yeah, that's just me. But yeah,
absolutely. And James, absolute solid story and stuff like that, man. Thank you so much. We'll obviously get your second one later on. Hey, Nate, time for you. We'll go. Do you want the Brock versus Roman, or do you want the other one?
No, I think we should go with the Eva Marie and Nikki Bella one, because I think that was a stonker.
I didn't even put this on. So which one do you want to do?
No, but we'll go with the let me think. Go with the Roman Reigns one first.
Okay, that's this one.
Yep. So, as we know, WrestleMania 34. This was an absolute stinker. What was it called? Nobody wanted to see this match. So basically, the main event was Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. What was it? It was totally disappointing. It was lackluster, in execution. What was it? And I just think it needed another element. A bit like the first match where they brought Seth in to do the Money in the Bank. What was it? So obviously, but was it keeping? But was it? Keeping both of them in the match. What was it? Is important. But one of the people I would have probably brought into this to try and kickstart him again is the very first Universal Champion, and that would be Finn Balor. We all know what happened. He won it, and then immediately had to sort of hand it back because he basically buggered his shoulder up, So, but was it? So basically, the idea would be that Roman Reigns would win the elimination chamber to earn his spot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously then find a way of bringing in Bowler into the match just to add that extra bit of because really the issue with for me with Lesnar and his sort of second sort of run in WWE, it's hard to say second run because he's been there for about 12 years now.
Yep.
You know, what was it? Was to sort of what was it? Bring in an adversary that hadn't really been part of the match. You know, now I'm not a fan of triple threat matches, so what was it? I think what was it? But I think this match just needed something because what was it? Roman Reigns was being forced down people's throats. What was it called? What was it? Brock Lesnar. You know, people didn't want him. People want him being there because he was just being that dominant champion. You know, so bringing in somebody in fresh into that element would have been really good. You know, so basically, the match would start with basically Lesnar as usual overpowering both. You know, doing his usual suplexes and F5 attempts, you know. What was it? Which would then sort of mean that Reigns and Balor would reluctantly sort of, what was it, team up? What was it to sort of wear down Lesnar? What was it called? And then obviously, what was it? Something happens during the match that sort of brings out that sort of demon in Balor, you know. That was it. That was it. So he would sort of hit his sort of like coup de grace and sort of Lesnar, get that near fall, but obviously then, what was it? Reigns is like, "What the hell you doing?" You know, you know. What was it? So he sort of counters that with a sort of spear, and then what was it? At this point, sort of Lesnar. What was it? What was it? Is sort of beat up, gets out the ring, and you let sort of Reigns and Balor actually put on a bit of a wrestling match as opposed to what a typical sort of Brock Lesnar match is on that second term. I think it's unfair on Lesnar because we all know Lesnar can work. If you go back and watch his first sort of matches, his first run in WWE, he was a really phenomenal wrestler. But rightly so, we learned that we didn't need to do that, you know. So, but what I would have is, what was it? Have the crowd going away happy because nobody wanted any of these guys to win, in Lesnar or Reigns. Is somehow Bowler sort of won that Universal Championship, you know, for a feel-good moment with the crowd, you know. What was it? It gave him that sort of redemption from what happened with the injury and things like that. What was it? What was it? Lesnar, like, you would have him pinning Reigns, you know. What was it? Lesnar doesn't lose anything because he wasn't pinned, you know. What was it? Which can sort of lead to sort of a rematch with Balor down the line. What was it? And what was it called? What was it? And that would play in more to the sort of like the story of what happened years later with Reigns being frustrated about and the resentment towards others, you know, and obviously they had that thing with the Judgment Day and things like that, you know. So that could be the sort of SummerSlam. What was it? I know that's down the line, sort of Judgment Day, but obviously you've got a program with Lesnar into the end of the year, and you've got a program with Reigns there as well, with SummerSlam and Survivor Series, you know. And it elevates Bella to where he was supposed to be in the first place before he got that injury, which really sort of killed any sort of momentum he had, and he's never really got that back.
No, exactly. I just want to point some out in because I'm just looking at the card now. Do you actually know what match was before this?
Eva Marie?
No. Do you have any ideas, James?
Oh God, trying to think off the top of my head. I seem to think that off the top of my head it was Charlotte Flair.
It's not. Charlotte was fifth on the card. The actual match before that was Braun Strowman and Nicholas versus Cesaro and Sheamus. So that was really bad placement there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And they also did the really stupid thing with Shinsuke Nakamura, you know, in that pay-per-view as well, where he like came up from NXT, he was this like dominant force, and then Vince just killed it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this actual card, I mean, I've got it in front of me now. I mean, The Undertaker comes back for John Cena, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. So I think this is one of these cards where it was stacked where it didn't matter who would win.
Yeah, it needed something. That main event needed something different. I know Bella had a match earlier on in the night. You know, he actually What was it? What was it? What
Yes,
was it? Had
James.
Seth Rollins, and was beaten for the Intercontinental, So, what was it? Again, that was a triple threat. So why not just make that last match a triple threat? I've just pulled that up. I'm just looking at that. I'm glad. I mean, 290.
Sorry, Haney. James has got his hand up. He wants to say something.
Sorry.
I'll let Annie finish. All I'm going to say is, let's not forget that Vince is the one that made Shinsuke Nakamura lose his first match to Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
Goddamn Jinder Mahal.
I will not have I will have the. What was it? The ginger hot Mahal.
Don't hinder Jinder.
Yes.
Oh dear.
There was a lot of what was it, really dumb, stupid stuff going on in the WWE at that point. What was it like? Taker squash Cena. What was it called? Yeah, Daniel. I'm just looking at this. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So obviously they were bi-yearly friends, because every second year they sort of split up. By the way, just an offshoot to that, with what was it? Chad Gables happened. Isn't that a perfect time to bring back what was it? El Generico to come back and sort of beat up that sort of little sort of what was it? Chad Gable masked crusader at the moment. That would be pretty cool to bring back El Generico.
El Grande Americano.
Yes. What was it
don't
called?
even get me started on that.
Oh God.
What was it called? But yeah, I mean that whole WrestleMania was a stinker.
So I feel like I love what you obviously said there. Bringing obviously a triple threat and stuff like that. But I feel like looking at the card as a whole, I feel like it was just one of those where it was just a bad all rounder.
Yeah, it was. But was it? And people weren't even excited about the main event. What was it? Everybody. It was the main event nobody wanted. What was it? It just was. It just stank. It needed something. It needed something at the end. To sort of pull that round. And it just didn't work for me. I just needed something else, and I think obviously Finn had come back, and what a time it would have been for him to come back and what was it? Sort of get involved in that. Just looking at the participants in some of the matches beforehand, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I forgot Matt Hardy won that. What was it?
You completely forgot that was a pre-show, weren't it?
Yes, but was it? Aiden English. It was Connor, Kurt Hawkins, R-Truth, Rainbow Cologne.
It would have bad an all-rounder.
I mean, I think that was it. Yeah, just dreadful, just absolutely dreadful.
Absolutely. Sorry, James, go ahead.
If I could put to replace Roman in the Roman versus Brock, I would make it Roman. If I think he was in the company at this time, I'd make it Brock versus Samoa Joe, and I'd give him at least 30 minutes. Just gave him an absolute bloodbath at WrestleMania. That would have been like some scary shit. We would have come out at PG era like a ball of fire.
The thing for me is Lesnar would not work that match, which is really, really frustrating, because he's capable of it. But I think he's just too smart to work matches like that, and I think that's part of the problem with Lesnar for me. Is that everybody knows he can wrestle, but he just doesn't. But then again, why should he? He's Brock Lesnar.
No, absolutely, and stuff like that. So we're going to have to obviously move along, mate, because obviously we've still got a few more matches to cover.
Okie dokie.
Sorry, pal, I didn't mean to interrupt you then. So I've got a match here, but I didn't want to change the match as a whole. I wanted to change the outcome of the matchup. So, and of course, I think you know about it, what we're talking about. It's this one right here. Brock versus Undertaker, the actual person who actually ended the streak. As I said, for me personally, the match was absolutely fine, but the ending for me, it just didn't need to happen. I mean, James, it's straight to the point, man. Do you know what I mean? Brock didn't need it for me personally.
For me, Brock didn't need it either. You've got a guy that's an NCAA Division I heavyweight champion, is a former UFC champion, is a former WWE champion, former world heavyweight, former he's basically won everything. You didn't need to give it Brock, because if you give something like the streak to someone, it needs to be someone that needs something to give him like a boost up. Yeah, it was good to give Brock because it made him the ultimate heel, and then he went to squash John Cena at SummerSlam to win the big gold belt, which is my favourite belt, which I've got down here, and the WWE title. Yeah, it was good for that, but you couldn't really then build Lesnar for the next sort of like 10 years as the guy that broke the streak. 'Cause it were broke the streak, and then he turned into Cowboy Brock, who has a ponytail now.
Yeah.
But I mean, my perspective on this is the contempt that Lesnar showed for it, and I think sometimes we think with our heart rather than our head. What was it? And for me, the reason Taker and Brock's so perfect is because it shouldn't have happened and it did. What was it? Like what was it? The one thing that's missing is that reaction that happened with Brock Lesnar is the sheer disbelief and horror. Like for people to walk out the stadium, what was it? Obviously we've got the iconic sort of pictures of the guys, with the jaw hitting the floor and what was it called? That to me is bigger than like if it had went to if it went to a Bray Wyatt or what was it or a sort of Edge or what was it like a Cena or a CM Punk or whatever, they would have been vilified for taking the streak anyway. So why not give it to a guy that's disliked? What was it? And as Paul Heyman says, what was it? What was it? What was it? Lesnar didn't need the streak. He just wanted it. And you can't really argue. Like your argument is that he's everything you just says. NCAA champion, UFC champion. What was it? Why wouldn't a guy like that beat? Was it Taker? It would be interesting to see if the match didn't go the way it was and the concussion didn't happen. It might have been a bit more appreciated by people. What was it? What was it in terms of them? But losing the streak was never going to happen. But was it? And it's a double-edged sword because I think ultimately, what was it? If but was it? If what was it? I mean, Taker says, yeah, it would have been great not to win lose the streak, but it would have been a noose round his neck, what was it called? So it had to happen. It couldn't have been like he didn't ever lose the streak because it was always going to be dangling there. And then what wrestling's like. They were going to do a stupid angle 10 years down the line where he's beaten at WrestleMania, because he's an old man. No, I think for me, that was it just the emotion that's attached to that and the anger is you wouldn't have got that with anybody else. And I think that's important because you've given what was it that sort of ultimate villain to the Undertaker's career. If Bray Wyatt, for example, had won it, we would have been all like, yeah, that was a cool moment, But the fact that Lesnar got it, everybody's pissed off at it. I'm pissed off that Lesnar got it, but in terms of what pro wrestling is and how emotion is for me with pro wrestling, I think it was perfect.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, that's the whole point of this show. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We're not always going to agree on things, and stuff like that. And this is why obviously I'll let you speak and stuff. But
yeah,
like I said, just for me, obviously as a fan, I felt like it was the wrong call.
Yeah. No, definitely. What was it? What was it? I've never seen Fiona so angry ever. What was it? Sitting watching that like, and I was angry it happened. She was livid. Fiona was pissed. What was it? But to me, that's like, what was it? In retrospect, afterwards, there's that moment. He's sitting. What was it? Sitting on the couch watching WrestleMania with like a partner or a friends and things like that. That you've got that moment there. But was it? You wouldn't have got it any other way. I don't think. What was it called? Like the anger attached to it. Like respectfully, Bray should have been the one that did break the streak. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what was it? That was he was the perfect guy to break the streak, and I love what was it, James. I was said the write up you did and how passionate. Obviously, the amount of effort and the detail you went into in that, you know, you know, it just shows you how much Bray meant to people, and that's important, you know. But I think there's sometimes what we want and what we need is two different things, and I think what we got was that what we didn't need in that scenario. And I'm happy that I'm pissed off that Brock Lesnar beat him, because it infuriates me that Lesnar took that streak, you know. But that's an emotion that you get from wrestling, you know. So that's what good storytelling is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. So, got two more stories, obviously, to rewrite
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, who wants to go first?
You go,
Haney.
James.
Okay, Henny, you're up first, and yours was, of course, and this is the first one you sent to us.
Yes, this was
is-
Eva Marie and Nikki. No, right, okay, it's Brett and Yokozuna. Oh,
Here we go. Take it away.
so let's just. I've just realised that we're probably talking about the two worst WrestleManias ever. My changes. WrestleMania 10 and WrestleMania 34 are probably the two worst WrestleManias ever. Right? Yeah. What was it called? So, what was it? So, obviously, we know what happened here. So what was the background behind this? Because there's a bit of context behind this. So what actually happened? So at WrestleMania, you've got two WWE WWF Championship matches taking place due to the Royal Rumble outcome of what was it, Brett and Lex Luger? You know, where they both hit the ground together. Okay, so you obviously had the first match, which was Yokozuna and what was Lex Luger, you know, which ended in a disqualification, you know, because of Mr. Perfect, which was sort of done. And the second match was what was it, Yokozuna versus Brett, you know, we had Roddy Piper as the special guest referee. Yep, won the Roddy
Yep.
Piper,
Yep.
you know, twice. He nearly cost Bret Hart the title, but anyways, but we won't go into that detail. You know, what was it? So obviously Brett won this match. What was it called? What was it? And obviously we got what happened. What was it? So the story of this is basically earlier in the night, Brett had wrestled Owen Hart, and Owen had bet Owen Hart, right? Yeah.
That was the first
Okay.
match, yep.
Yep. So what should have happened is a fatal four-way elimination match, you know, and you would have had Yokozuna, Brett, Lex Luger, and Owen Hart. Okay, still throwing Roddy as the sort of star power sort of referee, you know, thing in it, you know. So basically, as you know, you had what happened at the Royal Rumble. You also had what was it, Owen and Brett having that sort of like that really vicious family feud that led into some of the greatest matches that's ever happened in wrestling, you know, including the first match, you know. What was it called? What was it called? Why not? Why do what they did? Why not bring that all together and amalgamate it? Because there's a story there. So to build the story in that because to me what was weak was that I know they were trying to build a story that Brett lost earlier in the night and he was going to have to fight a second match, you know, later on, you know. But was it?
If I remember rightly, wasn't that supposedly the best opening WrestleMania match ever?
Most definitely, yeah. It was probably the only decent match on this WrestleMania as well. It was a saving grace of this WrestleMania. You know, but Owen never got anything out of it, really.
No.
You know, so why not like give him a chance? Like, what was it called? Have the match which a potential triple threat later on. What was it? But if Brett wins, obviously it stays that way, you know. But if Owen wins, he goes into the match, you know. What was it to sort of continue it, and it allows you to tell different stories because we never really got a sort of resolution to who really should have had that championship match, Lex Luger or Brett, you know, because they tried to do matches and things like that, and the they did the whole of like what was it, all of the fuckery around it, and it ended up where they both got a chance at the championship. What was it? We sort of Yokozuna, sorry.
Did you
And I
actually
think
see? Sorry, I'm just looking at the thing. Did you actually see who actually did the ring announcing for that actual match? Lex and Yokozuna?
Mr. Perfect,
Donnie Wahlberg.
Danny Wahlberg or Donny,
Donnie.
you kids in the block.
Donnie Wahlberg. I'm just looking at it now. I've got it on Wikipedia.
Yep. So basically, back to what should have happened. So we've got the way I've got it rolled down, and you've got a fatal four-way elimination match. You've got Yokozuna, Brett, Lex Luger, Owen Hart, Roddy Piper as a special guest referee. The build-up is post Rumble. Announced to settle Brett and Lex Luger. What was it? Co-win in the Royal Rumble. Owen earns his way an entry into the match by defeating Brett in the opening match. What was it called? So the match basically it starts off with Yokozuna, dominating it. Bear in mind that Yoko and Owen have got this relationship at this point because Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji's at ringside as well, So there's a lot you can sort of tie in there. What was it called? So, but what you would do is you would have Luger eliminate Owen out the match, What was it? So that you protect Owen away from Brett, what was it? And that sort of leaves that sort of animosity sitting there as well, What was it? Because when you fed something Owen, that was when he was best, What was it? And then obviously, what was it? Yokozuna would eliminate Luger, which would lead to the final phase of the match, which would be Brett versus Yokozuna, What was it? And then you do the sort of like you have Brett sort of countering the sort of bonsai drop, missing. What was it? Missing, and then obviously goes into sharpshooter attempt, But then he obviously pins. What was it? He pins Yokozuna. So you have the same outcome. You have Brett winning the championship.
Yep.
You can still have the people come out to celebrate for the locker room. You've got a reason why Owen's like still pissed on the ramp, because he was in the match and he was knocked out. You've set up that summer feud, What was it? The Luger's been shown some respect, but obviously there's a hint of tension there between Luger, Brett, and Owen, and then obviously Yokozuna can get his revenge, Nothing really changes after that. It doesn't really impact anything because things can stay aligned, and it would have just been a better conclusion to the whole Brett Lex Luger thing. It felt wrong that Brett and Lex never really got that conclusion. What was it? For the Royal Rumble? What was it? And I just think adding Owen into that and Lex into that and a four-way elimination would have just added a bit more into this pay-per-view because again the whole pay-per-view stank and it needed something. It really needed something.
Yeah.
You might as well have went home after the first match because the main event was a stinker as well. But was it people say Brett
I'm just
never
looking
had
at the card
stinkers?
now. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely terrible.
Yep, and people say Brett never had a stinker. Brett had many stinkers in the ring. But was it? And Yoko was such a great worker, but at this point, his weight was just it was just elevating and elevating. And I don't think he was around for much longer after this. He sort of left and then he came back,
No.
didn't he? What was it? Obviously, Owen had his amazing sort of King of the Ring run. What was it? What was it? And they've kept Luger viable. It sort of knocked Luger away out of like the whole sort of thing going on, and obviously the following year that's when you had the boyhood dream.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so you've not really you've rewrote the build up, but not the actual ending.
Sorry. Yeah.
You've kind of like So you've rebuilt obviously the build up, but the ending's still the same.
Yes. You've given a bit more of a conclusion to the stuff that happened in the lead up to the match. Because it felt like it had nothing. There was nothing really behind it. Obviously Brett got Yoko and Lex got what was it, Yoko. And if Brett had if Lex had beaten Yoko in the first match, he would have always went on and faced Brett. What was it? It was just, I don't know what was going on. Obviously, the steroid stuff and all that at this time as well, but it was just a mismatch of just shit, you know? Yeah, it was shit, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. James, what do you think to what he's just said?
Yeah, sounds good, mate. Really quite enjoyed that. To be fair, it was quite good rebooking. To be honest.
Yeah, really, really good. It's obviously on. I think it's on Netflix as well, so you can go back and obviously watch that as well. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Haney, I mean, you guys have really, obviously, absolutely, really done well today. Like I said, I only wanted to do a match where I changed the outcome. I wanted to get you guys get your
Yeah.
stories across and stuff like that. So, yeah, what solid works. We've got one more to cover. James, you obviously started this show, mate. You're going to end it. Go ahead.
You thought my first pitch were long. Wait for this one, boys. Oh, that's the wrong one, that, Liam.
Is it? You said 36.
I said 30. WrestleMania 30.
All right. Anyway, all right. Carry on.
That's my favourite one. WrestleMania 36 is my favourite one. This is the other one I want to change. So it's WrestleMania 30, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. As we know, this match went on before Brock broke the streak. So it actually does tie in with your booking, to be fair, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
So the build-up remains largely the same. Bray, with his family, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, been targeting Cena, preaching a message of breaking free from the chains of heroism and embracing a more primal, truthful self. He's used cryptic promos, unsettling imagery, and psychological tactics to get under Cena's skin, questioning his legacy and the hustle, loyalty, respect mantra. The match itself, the atmosphere is electric, but there's an undercurrent of unease due to Wyatt's presence. The match starts as a typical Cena encounter. Strong offense, signature moves, and a defiant attitude. However, Wyatt's resilience and unsettling demeanor begin to chip away at Cena's confidence, hitting a very early Sister Abigail for a very, very close 2 count. With early psychological tactics, Wyatt uses subtle taunts, whispers, and unsettling laughter that seems to affect Cena more than usual. He avoids direct, prolonged eye contact, creating a sense of unease. Harper and Rowan lurk at ringside, their presence a constant distraction. Cena's growing frustration with the match sees his usual fire, slightly dimmed. He becomes visibly frustrated by Wyatt's ability to withstand his offense and the constant mental pressure. He starts making uncharacteristic mistakes, showing glimpses of doubt. So Cena does the normal moves where he does the comeback, picks him up, puts him down, goes for the AA as he runs to the rope. Bray Wyatt does the spider thing that always creeps me out, but I always love it. Does that, scares the hell out of Cena. Cena like, whoa! What he did in real life a bit later on in the match. But every single time that Cena goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, Bray always does it. Cena hits a couple of AAs, kicks out at 1. Cena's just like, whoa, this is getting mental. So then we'll move on to Wyatt's calculated offenses, with Wyatt's offense being methodical and impactful, but it's interspersed with moments of unsettling stillness and cryptic pronouncements. He targets Cena's mind as well as his body. The interference and turning point of the match is as Cena attempts another comeback. Harper and Rowan become more directly involved, drawing the referee's attention. During the chaos, Wyatt manages to gain a significant advantage, perhaps using a weapon subtly or hitting a devastating unconventional move. I'm trying to think one off the top of my head. Maybe hits a urinage off the second rope. Maybe something that might look a bit painful. There's the one. That's the one. The seed of doubt takes root. Instead of his usual resilience, Cena starts to show genuine fear and confusion. Wyatt's words and the unsettling atmosphere seem to have penetrated his normally impenetrable resolve. So the scene that you've just seen on the photo is when Wyatt is shouting, screaming at him, hitting him with a chair, and Cena's like, "No, I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it." With this, Cena grabs the chair, goes to swing for Wyatt, but Wyatt catches him in a Sister Abigail, goes to the Sister Abigail. Cena reverses it into an AA, and Bray rips at Cena's eyes and pushes him away. Final moments are Cena finds himself in a vulnerable position. Wyatt, instead of going for a straightforward pin immediately, leans in close and whispers something intensely personal and challenging to Cena. The camera focuses on Cena's face, showing a conflict of emotion with fear, confusion, and a flicker of something else, possibly curiosity. Is this turning Cena? Is this what Bray's just said? Just made Cena think about what is happening. So then the embrace happens in a shocking turn as Wyatt goes for the Sister Abigail. Cena doesn't fight it with his usual ferocity. Instead, his eyes seem to glaze over. He almost gives in to Bray, almost allows him to hit the move. The impact is brutal, and Cena stays down. The referee counts the pin. 1, 2, 3. Everyone's in complete shock. Bray's defeated John Cena at WrestleMania. With the aftermath, the hate embraces. As Wyatt and the family celebrate, Cena slowly begins to stir. However, his demeanor has changed. The fire in his eyes is gone, replaced by a distant, almost vacant stare. He doesn't argue with the referee or show his usual disappointment. Instead, he looks towards Wyatt with a strange, almost understanding expression. This, in turn, has a subtle shift where Cena slowly rises, and instead of leaving the ring, he looks around at the bewildered crowd, just takes it all in, then turns back to Bray. A faint, unsettling smile plays on his lips. He doesn't attack Bray. Instead, he offers a slow, deliberate nod of acknowledgement and acceptance. With Wyatt's influence, Wyatt looks back, and knowing glint in his eye, he extends a hand towards Cena. After a moment of hesitation, Cena reaches out and takes it. The handshake is not one of respect, but of a strange, almost disturbing understanding, possibly a slight agreement with what Wyatt's been selling. The visual as Wyatt and his family leave the ring, Cena stays in the ring, looking lost in thought, a subtle but significant shift in his posture and expression. The aura of unwavering heroism is gone, replaced by something more ambiguous, something wilder. The seeds of the hate has been planted. This works because it helps with Bray's credibility. A clean, decisive victory over Cena at Mania would have been a monumental moment for Bray's character. And what I would do with this is, shifting from this match, Bray's still in the arena, Cena's gone. You have the Brock Taker match, and this is how I would have ended Bray Taker. Just as Lesnar's about to hit the third F5, lights go out, lights come back up. Bray, Rowan, and Harper are stood at ringside. Taker's already on the floor. Brock gets out. The referee's already down because of the lights going down. The spooky shit. Brock comes out, attacks the Wyatt family. They attack him. Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail, into the ring post, basically knocking Brock out. Puts Brock back into the ring. Taker crawls over, puts his arm over. 1, 2, 3. Taker wins. Looks up. Bray's in the ring, kneeling over Taker, saying, "I've helped you. Now I'm going to hurt you." Fast forward into the next Mania. So then, with Cena's character development, it becomes a little more twisted. Instead of the usual Cena overcoming adversity narrative, this allows a darker, more complex storyline where his unwavering beliefs are challenged and potentially broken. Embracing the hate suggests a shedding of his established persona for something more unpredictable and perhaps even aligning with Wyatt's chaotic world. Not joining him, but just understanding what Wyatt's been preaching and possibly following Wyatt's teachings. Long-term story potential of this is ending it opens up numerous possibilities for Cena's future character arc. Would he become an ally of Wyatt, a corrupted version of himself, someone struggling with a newfound inner darkness? And obviously, as we know, in 2020, we had the Firefly Funhouse, in which it's Cena versus the Fiend, and then that is where you could possibly turn Cena fully heel, but you don't see Cena for a while. But that's
that's absolutely right. Okay, yeah, wow, mate, you've been absolutely props, mate. Do you know what I mean? Two solid stories there, man. Hey, what do you think?
No, definitely. I like that. The Cena bit. I wouldn't have had him interfering in the Taker match though. I would have just had him. What was it? If you were going to book it for a Taker to win, I would have, because what was it? I would have had Taker win and then had the lights go out and Bray in the ring, and then do the sort of point to the sign and say next year, sort of thing. What was it? But that's the only thing I would change with that. What was it? The reason being, what was it? I think the matches were right after each other, weren't they? Let me just check.
So so it were Bray versus Cena, and then it were Brock versus Taker. But what I was going for was that obviously Brock just completely decimating Taker, and then obviously he's like needed some. He's not exactly needed help, but Bray's helped him, and then he's basically saying, "No one's ending the streak until I end the streak. Your streak is mine. Your power is mine. I'm taking your power."
But
thing.
what I'm getting at is, and I think what was it? The bit that I struggle with that is because your match with Taker the following year is so strong for Bray. If you have Brock dominating the Undertaker in that match, then you diminish what happens the next year with Bray, because it's not a shock because Lesnar did it, you know, and Lesnar's even if Lesnar, I'm just thinking of the psychology of it. If what was it? If Lesnar, but was it even though, but was it if Lesnar didn't win, you know, because it didn't matter, because you said it yourself. Lesnar didn't need that win; he just wanted it, you know. If even if he lost, he'd already dismantled the Undertaker, you know. What was it called? What was it? To be weak, you know. What was it? For the Bray thing to work the following year, I think you need Taker to be really strong against the Undertaker. Undertaker to be really strong against Lesnar, because you diminish it then. Because what was it? You're almost setting the whole year of what was it of the Undertaker being weakened because what was it? His time's up. You know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Or if you want to still have Brock be dominant in the match, you could have it that Bray's basically picking, like being a bit like a buzzard, like quite literally, because he talks about buzzard. So it's basically picking the carcass of Taker. So it's basically just taking the power from that. But if you want to have Taker actually beat Brock, which quite a lot of people actually wanted, you could have the. Brock was being so dominant, or that it was actually quite a back and forth match. If the concussion didn't happen, that Bray just got involved because he wanted it to be about him. He wanted the streak to be his. He wanted Taker's power to be his. He's like, if I'm taking the streak, if I'm going to take something from you, I'm going to take everything: your power, your streak, everything about you, sort of thing.
No, I agree with that part, but I think. And what resonates with me is something Paul Heyman says when he's talking about the streak, with Undertaker taking the streak. What was it because Lesnar went on a program with Cena, and what was it called? And what was it? And Paul told a story about, like, people think Lesnar's stupid, but he's very wise to the business, and he says, because I've beaten the Undertaker, I need to. He went to Cena and says, I need to squash you. You know, for it, what was it? I need to squash you now because it diminishes everything I've just done if I don't beat you. You know, but Bray is for me, and it's just my it's just, obviously this is. Hopefully, don't think this is not criticism, that, because I like what you've said. It's just the way my brain works, and what was it? What was it? The psychology of it. What was it? To me, Bray beating Cena, he's already beaten the biggest guy in the WWE. So what was it? Even if the streak's still there, the Undertaker's irrelevant, you know, because he's already destroyed. What was it? That guy. So to go out and take that both things in the one night would have decimated. What was it? the next year I've been able to build the guys up to that match. Whereas I think I would have just had a more, what was it? I was sort of like flat, sort of. What was it? Match with Lesnar and Taker, and then have break him out. You know, to show his sort of dominance against the Undertaker afterwards, and telling him, "I'm going to take you out." You know, I wouldn't have had Lesnar dominating at all, because I would have. If I knew that was going to happen, I would want to protect both Undertaker and Bray for the following year, for Bray taking the streak. You know, that's what would come to mind in my mind, just that was it, as I'm thinking about it. But yeah,
No, absolutely. It's spot on, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, it's a good little debate and stuff like that.
no, definitely, it's fascinating to talk about, because both scenarios that you've presented, James, I would have loved to have happened. You know, what was it? But what was it? What was it? I'm just that sort of guy that's overthinks things, and I go into, like, I'm a data analyst by trade, you know. So what was it? I analyze stuff like overly, you know. And there's probably stuff that, like, somebody that was it like would probably say, no, that's nonsense, and don't ever be scared to say that's nonsense. That doesn't make sense, you know. It's just my take on it, you know. What was it, and how it would go, you know. So, but yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Right, guys, we obviously need to wind down and stuff because we're at an hour and 22. James, I mean, wow, mate, you've gone into so much detail and stuff like that, mate. Hope you've enjoyed yourself today.
Mate, I've had these in my phone for about 3 or 4 years. And I'm not kidding you. I've got about another 8 that I could do.
That's your YouTube channel set up for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've got loads. God, just think, It's not even just WrestleMania ones as well. I've got, obviously, as everyone knows, SummerSlam. I've got Team WWE versus Nexus. I've got that as well that I've rebooked. I rebooked. What else did I have? Oh God, it's gone out of my head. But anyway, yeah, I've got a lot of different rebooking things that I'd quite like to do. To be honest.
Absolutely. So, yeah, they'll obviously be on your YouTube channel. So, next week, obviously, is WrestleMania week. We're going to be covering night 1 and night 2. So, on Saturday, we're going to be looking ahead to night 1. On the Sunday, we're going to be looking ahead to night 2 and what happened on night 1. So, we're going to be all busy. Are you going to be part of both?
I will indeed. I will be here to sort of critique and say whatever needs to be said, and obviously throw in a couple of, like, fuck the Young Bucks into there, even though they're not part of the WrestleMania weekend. But I'm sure they'll do something on Wednesday to just make themselves look like the biggest twats that they always do. So,
well, anyway, that's another little show and stuff like that. Oh dear! So if you guys obviously want to support the show, you can head to the Magic of Wrestling on YouTube. Shows every single week, interviews up and coming. Be sure to check out Wrestling Wellbeing as well. Like I said, it's James's new channel. We'll put a link in the description. The Hot Tag Foundation, absolutely everything. We've got loads of stuff coming up. James, I'm going to let you have the final say.
I'm going to say fuck the Young Bucks, but that's Haney's line. Just all I'd like to say is thanks to yourself, Liam, for fetching me on, mate. Thanks for everyone that watched my video yesterday. Hopefully, I can inspire people to start talking about mental health, because it's a serious issue that needs to be sorted. But other than that, I love wrestling. I'm looking forward to watching WrestleMania next week. And yeah, best of luck to everyone, and I hope everyone has a lovely weekend.
Okay, Haney, you get the go on. You can just say it in and I'll let the outro.
Accrington Stanley, who are they?